Alright, this video is all about charcoal. So hopefully we can get this done in one class period. We've got a lot to do, so let's get started. The first thing what we're going to do in class is I'm going to go through a quick presentation on charcoal. And you're going to just take notes about definitions, tips, techniques, materials, methods, things like that, artist names if you find any that you want to look up later. So at the top of your paper, charcoal notes, write the date, do your artist signature, take any kind of information down that you would find helpful later. The next thing you're going to do is you are going to work with your group. You're going to work with a group of about 3 to 4 people. That's just so everybody can get around the drawing paper, and together you are going to shade a sphere. So the reference image looks like this. There is a light source over here, and you will use a variety of tools, and people will be working on different areas. Mainly whenever we start out, it is a good idea to do your drawing in vine charcoal because it can be erased. A lot of people like to start out with pencil. I actually recommend you start out with vine. So maybe the most challenging part of this is going to be getting that circle. And it doesn't have to be a perfect circle, and you can modify it later as you need. So I used my vine charcoal. The vine charcoal will erase very easily. The next thing after that, probably I'm going to want to put in the shadow over here, and then maybe there is a little bit of a horizon line back here. So once you get that laid out, you are going to work as a group. You can use the vine charcoal, you can use a charcoal pencil, you can use the compressed charcoal. We are not going to use any white charcoal in this. So if there is a white area, that is going to just remain the color of the paper. In this case, we are using manila paper. So just the black charcoal, and use a variety of methods. Usually you want to lay down like where the darker colors are and then start blending to get it to be more solid and dark. You will still have to layer with charcoal pencil, or charcoal, whether it's the pencil or the compressed. You can use any of the chamois at your table. In your supply kit. You can use paper towel. Once I blend it out, it actually lightens the color of the charcoal. So that's why I would want to go ahead and add another layer. And when I apply that second layer, I can already see it's filling in more of the pockets of the paper. I don't want to blend it out too much at this point because, again, it will lighten it when I blend it. I can also blend with a brush. So a brush, especially with the lighter values, what I like to do with a brush is I will get it dirty in some of the darker areas, and then I will come over and use it for my light. I will also use my finger, which has charcoal on it, to blend some of my lighter layers. But your goal is to match this as a group, and then what you will do is you will work on your own piece of artwork in your sketchbook. So this is completed as a group. When that is done, you're going to get your sketchbook back, and on the bottom part of this, you are going to choose a drawing that you have already done from one of your daily sketches. So the point of these daily sketches was to come up with different ideas, but it was also to help you start thinking about composition. So you can use a more complex drawing, you can use a simpler drawing. It's up to you. You want to have many spaces, though, that you can shade in, because the goal of this practice is to use 3 different values, light, medium, and dark, and to just practice creating contrast, honestly. So the first thing I'm going to do, since it is a square, I'm going to go ahead and set that square up on the bottom half of my sketchbook page. So if you don't have enough room, you can switch to the next page. And then I am going to just roughly outline or draw. I'm going to go with my little monster one. So I have this little monster. I am using the vine charcoal rather than pencil. I know a lot of people like to use pencil. They're used to it, but we are going to use charcoal. It's easier to erase back into. I have a little planet back here. I have another planet over here. I've got some eyes. So if I need to make some adjustments from my original drawing, I can do that so that it fills up the space and that I have different areas to color inside. Teeth, he's a happy alien. I'm gonna put Alright, so I have my drawing or my sketch and I am ready to start shading in. Alright, so the directions for this assignment tell you to use 3 values, at least 3 values, light, medium, and dark, maybe 4 if you want to include white. I would encourage you to use white, but you don't have to shade in all of the areas on your composition or your drawing. So even though I want to have light values, I am mostly going to be working with my compressed charcoal or my charcoal pencil. I'm focusing on large area of colors. So let's say I am going to start shading his body here. And I want it to be dark. I can even practice, and I encourage you to practice transitions, because that is one of the good things about charcoal. So for blending, there's a couple different ways I can blend. I can blend with my blending stump. Now, depending on the type of the paper and the charcoal that you're using, you may or may not have more lines or texture showing. So that's up to you if you want it to have texture or if you want it to be very smooth. But I want you to focus on value. So as I shade in this area and as I blend it in, this is more of a medium value. Kind of like my number 2 value. Right in the middle. Not really dark, not really light. So something that you're going to start working with are your edges. So erasers can be a really good way for you to get a crisp edge. So if I kind of move some of this out of the way. Oh no, I didn't want that to get into there. I can use a hard eraser like my cap eraser to get that edge really crisp and smooth. Now that is pretending that I want that to be white. The hard part is, I think, with a lot of these techniques is that you want to brush away either your eraser or some of the chalk and you start smudging in areas you don't want to. So that's why people think charcoal's messy. So I'm going to come right next to here with my charcoal pencil, and I used a pretty hard pressure to get a nice crisp edge, and then I am going to blend away from that. So the initial step is getting the charcoal on the paper. blending it, filling in the large areas, and then we are working on crisp edges, maybe transitions, and different values. So if I did want to keep this area in here very, very light, what can I do? Well, I can use the charcoal that's already on my finger. I can use that to start blending in. I can use my chamois. It's also a little dirty, but now if I go too dark again, I can erase, or and show you how I'm going to apply a lighter value in here. This is more of my number 1 value. Alright, I covered up some of the teeth. So I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to erase out that edge. So focusing on value, I am trying to separate these areas by contrast and not just an outline. So I have my outline there to help me see what area. So I was able to erase those back out. Here I can use my blending stem. So I like to, for the lighter values, use a tool that is already dirty or already has some charcoal on it. So right here in this little area, I do almost have my 3 values. I have light, I have medium, and I do have dark right along here. But I want you to continue in this way to create a tonal drawing that has at least 3 values, maybe 4. If you want to include white, and I think it's actually pretty easy to include white, you can. I'm focusing on those crisp edges. The other thing that you can do, there should be a really dirty kneaded eraser in your kit, your table kit. So if you clean that a little bit and you drag it across, you can get some of those lighter areas to or some of the areas to lighten up without actually erasing it all the way back to the white. So I'm using this as a blending tool, and I'm kind of using it as an eraser also. So you're going to continue to work on this composition for the rest of class. We're going to kind of see where everybody's at to see if you need more time in the next class to finish that. But that is your charcoal boot camp. You have your charcoal notes. That's the first thing we did. As a group, you worked on a sphere, and then we have your composition, which is focusing on those 3 values, light, medium, and dark.